One day you called me and basically were like, hey, I love getting coffee with people. Could we just like run an ad where I invite people to grab coffee? That's kind of how that happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I could get you sit down, the likelihood of success of relationship skyrockets. So the thought was just like, how do I just capitalize on that? Interest meetings are great, but even with the interest meetings, maybe 15% of the people who are in the room will say yes to us. But if I can get you across a table from me, there's a better odds of something happening here because I get to know you and I can hear your story. In an interest meeting, you're hearing my story, but it gets back to that. How do you feel noticed? How do you feel heard?
Guys, welcome to this episode of the Church Candy Podcast. I'm sitting down with my friend, Pastor Brandon Holmes from Promise Co-Church. Pastor Brandon, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good today.
Man, I don't know if you know this, and you probably didn't know this when you signed up, but you were like church number 5 at Church Candy. Did you know that?
I did until the beginning of this year. I had no idea.
So I knew what we were doing, but I probably presented it better than the way we do now. So, yeah, man, thanks for coming down here.
Yeah, I want to say it was Lexi who originally brought it up to me, and it just kind of went over my head. But that's kudos to you. I mean, that was 3 years ago now?
That was 2022, probably.
Yeah. Like, I had no idea. She's like, yeah, you don't realize you're sitting there talking to Brady yourself. He doesn't do that anymore. He's not sitting there trying to sell pastors or church planners anymore. She's like, for the fact that the person who's on your paperwork's Brady, she's like, that's not okay.
It was, okay, so I'm looking, looks like we connected over Facebook Messenger, May 18th, 2022.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then you are probably church in the top 20.
That's crazy.
Then. But yeah, talking about you guys were planting a church in Waco. So why don't you share your story, man? Tell people about church planting and kind of like how did you know that God was calling you to plant a church?
Yes, we were former youth pastors from Northeast Ohio. I don't think we have the traditional church planner story. If you talk to a lot of church planners, they have this super spiritual kind of, God called me and we felt like God pulled us to a city. We didn't really have that. We just got to a point where my wife and I, being youth pastors, we knew our season was just coming to an end. We felt like there was a shifting. Really didn't know what that was. I think the thing that's super important for anyone who feels like their season is coming to an end, to have someone pastor you through that. And luckily for us, we had so many amazing individuals that we could look to just ask questions. Specifically, a shout out as a friend of ours, Jordan Smucker in Columbus, Ohio. He was like the next gen pastor at Faith Family Church in Canton, and was just a great resource. As I was, me and my wife were youth pastors. He was able to sow into us, but we got to watch him have this transition of planning a church through ARC, and gave us a front row seat to all of that and mentor us. And he planted the seed like, hey, Brandon, I think you're supposed to pastor, which I did not want to hear completely. I didn't want to be a pastor, didn't want to plant a church, was in love with Next Gen. I was in love with youth ministry, loved everything about it. In our minds, our thought was, we're going to go to another church and have a different opportunity, a different season. But he's like, no, you're supposed to pastor. So he planted that seed, and we got to see that front row seat of what that looked like for him. And me and my wife just spent the next few years just asking the Lord, man, what does this look like for us? Are we to find a church that is looking for a pastor to kind of go interview that way? Are we to plant? So I guess kind of like, throwing our fleece before the Lord, if you will. We kind of went through that type of process, and full transparency, that sucked. That was really, really difficult. That was really hard. We didn't have a city. We didn't feel like there was a certain state. So we really just spent a whole lot of time traveling, venturing to different states. We kind of did the whole church planner type of, we want to go to the least, most churched state. What is the region that has the least amount of churches? And fell in love with that type of approach. And we're going to go evangelize and witness to these people and win Nineveh for Jesus kind of thing, right? To where it ended us in Boston, Massachusetts at a Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm a very introverted person by nature. I shy away from conversation. So talking to a barista in Boston, by Fenway, getting an order for, and I hate coffee, but I'm ordering coffee just because like I want to get to know these people, and I'm getting cussed out at 4:00 in the afternoon, and I'm like, heck no, God, this is not where you've called us. To me and my wife were in the car, we're like, we have to get out of here. So we fly to San Antonio, polar opposite, not even on our radar, wasn't even a city on our list, but we fly there just to kind of get away from the hecticness of just trying to just ask the Lord, man, God, where are you calling us to go? We start mapping out San Antonio, Austin, and we come to Waco just as reprieve, just as like some peace. My wife was obsessed with Chip and Joanna, watching that show from afar. And we get there, we're like, hey, it's a cool little town. Fly back to Ohio, we start dreaming about Waco nonstop. All we can dream about, all we can talk about, to the point where it makes us frustrated and mad. So long story short, in our planning journey, we didn't have this initial pull from the Lord of where we're supposed to go. We didn't have these visions and dreams. We just basically said, we're going to go find out. We're going to put boots on the ground, and kind of seeing scripture come to life. He's like, hey, I will be the light under your feet if you just go, right? He called Abraham. He said, hey, I have a place for you. Didn't tell Abraham where to go. Abraham just had to walk it out. But it took George Smucker to be like, hey, I feel like you're called to this. But for us, I want to say it was almost like 4 years from the planning of the seed of him saying, hey, I think you're called to this, to us, trial by error, going out and figuring out, okay, God, where have you called us to? Until we land in Waco, unintentionally, for then the dream to start to happen. Okay, what is it about Waco? When we moved to Waco, we actually created this landing page because we were still trying to figure out, Lord, what is it that you want from us? We called it like, why Waco? Because we're trying to figure out, God, why would you take us to a Bible Belt city that we don't want to be in, that has churches on every street corner? And I think the thing that's interesting about Texas Bible Belt is all the way up from Houston, all the way up to Tulsa, like they're not just churches on every street corner. Yo, they mega churches. So it's like, God, why would you call me to a place that has an abundance of churches on every street corner that seems to be doing fairly well? Well, little did we know that Barna post-COVID and pre-COVID did a whole research right here on Central Texas on the de-church movement that's happening, with Waco being the central city that they did a study on. So there's a great de-churched movement where people were saying, adios, peace, we don't want nothing to do with Jesus, or the Jesus that was shoved down our throat, and we kind of parachuted with no team, nobody, trusting the Lord into a primed area where people were saying we want nothing to do with the Jesus that we were taught growing up as it was shoved down our throat. They were waiting for someone to come and say, no, let me show you the real authentic Jesus. What? Yeah, I had no idea. So very much so, I feel like a different story than most people has in planning church, but that's authentically our story, just parachuting in, trusting God, not knowing what our left turn is. That started with a seed.
Yeah. And so today in your ministry, looking back at, the roots of that, it's like, hey, this is super unchurched. There's people deconstructing, leaving the church based in Waco from all these studies. What kind of fruit have you guys been seeing from that, like, and related to people that felt like they wanted nothing to do with church?
I would say this for any church planter, any pastor, be careful what you pray for. Our prayer was, God, give us the least of these. God, give us broken people. If you're going to pray for broken people, be ready to get cut because you're handling broken pieces. It's not very easy. It's not very clean. It's really, really hard. We have some of the most amazing people, and we say this because it's true, and it's really not intended to be offensive, but we have a motley crew of people. So like we have a section outside of our building that's like a smoking section for our volunteers, because we have people who were on one hand who were drug dealers. We have drug dealers who are getting baptized with people that they sold drugs to. We've had people baptize people that they're baptizing their pimps. They have baptized the person who just sold to them last year. It is insane.
Wow.
The type of people. But on the other hand, we have business owners. We have teachers who are retired who have never stepped foot in church and this is in Waco, Texas. Like, this is Bible Belt. We have people who are walking in our doors who wouldn't traditionally walk into the establishment for whatever said reason, right? That has been the crowd that we've walked to. The people who would be your traditional churchgoers don't do well within our type of structure, just because it's a little different. It's not super well polished, but that is kind of our intentionality. Is we want people to come in and say, "Hey, I belong here. I can resonate with this." With maybe just a different touch and different look of how we do things. Not that we don't do things in excellence. By all means, we want to do things with excellence. But the people who walk in here are people who are desperate and who are craving the authentic Jesus, and not necessarily, oh, this is super overly polished, to a place of how can I fit in here? Because sometimes I think unintentionally we do church so programmed that the intention is, let's do the music, let's do the 3 songs, let's preach the message, let's pray for some people, and let's get to lunch.
Yeah.
Versus people who are coming in who are desperately broken just need you to sit and talk to them for maybe 35, 40 minutes, and you say 2 words, right? Are we going to create obstacles for people to walk into, or are we going to create pathways where there's no offense? I think unintentionally we look at people sideways because they smell a certain way, they look a certain way because they're not churchanese, because they're not our Bible Belt structure. So creating pathways for people to come in where we're being the hands and feet of Jesus to love you from point 1 to get you into the building. A lot of times that's a conversation that happens before they even get into the church, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's huge, man. I love to see what you guys are doing in the context for all of that too. Going back to the early days of church planting, when you and I got connected, what worked well for you guys to build those initial launch team?
Man, yeah, so we parachuted in, so a lot of things didn't work well. I feel like every lesson we've learned had to be the hard way and not the easy way. I would not advise people to parachute in if you have been structured to like big church. The reason that you go with a team is it's fuel, it's rocket fuel to go with a team already. For so many reasons, for discipleship, to putting people in places to lead who have the experience to do so. It will save you from a lot of heartache, which is why when you go to like ARC or when you go to a lot of these different planning organizations, they're going to tell you to wait, to have caution. And that was our intention. We want to do that, but we felt the Lord tell us to parachute in. So we're just obedient. On the marketing sense, we paid a ton of money for what we thought we understood what ads will look like for our interest meeting. We wanted to have a slow rollout. A lot of times they're going to tell you to have a quick rollout of 90 days interest meeting to launch day. We did not want to do that. We're not from this area. We have no family or friends in this area. We have no community. I can't tell you how important it is to avoid imposter syndrome, to avoid mental health issues, not just for you, but in your wife, to build community as quickly as possible because you're isolated, especially if you're parachuting into an area. So for us, we took a year of interest meetings from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, just for the sake of community, just for the sake of we want to create this thing sticky. We don't want to have a 90-day quick rollout launch, lose a ton of people because they really don't know who we are. So we had a slow burn, 1 interest meeting a month. We did the ads. We're like, these are ballin', these are professional, this is legit. People are going to watch these videos. They're like, yeah, I want to go to that interest meeting. Had it at the Waco Convention Center. We're like, this is going to be so epic. Rented 2 rooms, a kid's room full of candy, all of the toys. Like, this is going to be great. Paid people to come and just love these kids. Rented the TVs. Like, this is going to be awesome. 3 people showed up. Like, you want to talk about deflating of the ego. The dream has died. God, you have not called me to this. It's not that the vision was wrong. It's not that the dream was wrong. It's not even that our expectations were incorrect. We just had no idea what it actually meant to market. We didn't know what it actually meant. And it's not that the production was even bad. Like looking over the numbers of how many views and how many shares. It's just when you don't know what marketing really looks like, especially when especially working with Church Candy. What is retargeting, right? I didn't even know that was a term until I'm starting to learn from Church Candy what it means to throw out your fleece or throw out your net, but then have a retargeting aspect to it to specifically, now once you've targeted these people, they know about you, now to come back with a specific ask. So our first interest meeting, we had like 3 people show up. Our second interest meeting, running the same play, 0 people show up. So then the alarm's going off. This is the definition of insanity. If we keep doing what we're doing, why do we expect results to change? Jump on the bandwagon with Church Candy. Bro, we need some massive, desperate help. We feel like God's called us here. We feel like the messaging is great. We feel like we have a targeted, specific audience of who we're trying to reach. Not church people, but literally the unchurched. Third interest meeting with Church Candy, literally 30, 40 people show up, and it's just this steamroll that's just constant building to, and even our venues, I feel like our venues got worse. We rented it was free. You can't beat free. It was called the Kelso House. It was literally, I want to say it was the Mennonites who owned it. Super weird. Downtown Waco, rented a house, turned into like a community center. It was free, 0 parking. I want to say we had like 60 people showed up to this thing. Super crammed, but it was our best interest meeting. And we seen this momentum starting to happen because we learned Church Candy was the real jet fuel behind the marketing. The messaging wasn't the problem. It was the marketing that we had messed up. What helped us through that process with our interest meeting phase was, what do we do with the people when they walk in the door? How do we handle this awesome blessing that God has given us? Church Candy has helped us reach these people, talk to these people. But what do you do with these people? We set up one-on-ones with every single person, and you're going to learn this stuff through any type of church planning setup. But what helped us isn't just meeting with these people one-on-one after. We wanted to create a bridge between our interest meetings. If I get you in my interest meeting and you're saying, bro, this is awesome. This is the coolest thing ever. I want to re-engage my faith. I want to do this thing, help you launch your church. We didn't just say, hey, cool, let's go get coffee. Cool, you're part of the church now. I'll see you at our next interest meeting. You can help us out. We did something called dinner parties, and we started it right out of our house. And we had a stupid 1-bedroom apartment at that time. And this is why I love church planners, because we're so dumb. Like, you only know what you know. We're like, we're going to have all these people at our house, and we're just going to make like spaghetti and feed all these people. There was so many people. God bless our neighbors. We had so many people in our little dinky 1-bedroom apartment. And immediately we're like, we can't even keep it back here. Found another place that was going to let us use it for free, but it's our dinner parties. There was no worship. There was no Bible reading. The whole agenda of this is, I want to get to know you. Because if you're going to say emotionally, like, yes, I want to help you start this church, I want them to know me. I want them to know my wife. I want you to know why I laugh, why I'm corny, why I'm introverted. Because if I can get you to fall in love with the relationship of just doing life with me, then when I start to disciple you, it's just going to grow, because they're in love with the idea of who you are. Like, we're friends with you. Yeah. The most beautiful passage in the Bible is when Jesus turns to his disciples. He's like, I don't call you servants. I call you friends. And that's how we wanted to build our church, is we wanted to build this friendship. If I'm going to give you, we term it, we coin it this way, it's relational equity. Before I can start telling you why you're in sin and why this is wrong, I want you to trust me on the front end, that we are friends. I built relationship. What I tell you is for your good. But if I start the relationship with telling you that you're a sinner and you're going to burn in hell, bro, I don't want nothing to do with you. You don't know me. So we basically flip that. Hey, how was life today? What's going on? How can I help you? So we played games. We ate food. We broke bread. The 7-mile journey that Jesus took with the 2 Jewish men, it was at the end of the journey, after they just talked and they spoke. It's when he broke the bread with them. Their eyes were open. They're like, did the fire did not burn within us? Then they were revealed who Jesus was. We just took these verses and just made them real. How can we walk with people? How can we let the Holy Spirit do the ministering? We don't have to do it. If we believe the Holy Spirit's working among us, let's let him do that work. Let's just literally be authentic with one another. The coolest story we have through that phase, as we're authentically just doing life with people, we had this lesbian couple, young girls, who we took them to Longhorn Steakhouse, and they're admitting like, hey, we've cut ourselves. We've been suicidal. We don't fit in anywhere. We don't know what to do, but we know we long to be with you guys. We hardly told them about Jesus. We just wanted to know their story, know their names. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? Why are you here? What you're going through? Constantly doing life with them, loving them and seeing them grow, seeing them flourish. Now they're divorced. Now they love in Jesus. It is just super cool to see if we really let the Holy Spirit do what he does and we love people for who they are, even though I don't agree with you. I may not love your politics. I may not love where you're living in life, but I'm going to throw all that to the side to get to know you and actually walk with you. You wouldn't believe how amazing the Holy Spirit actually is at doing his job. I can't do it.
Yeah.
My back's not strong enough. I don't have the mental health to absorb these issues. I don't want to solve them. I can't solve them, but I can be your friend.
Yeah. This is a hack that I've learned. So there's this quote that says, the feeling of being seen and being loved is so similar, most people can't tell a difference.
Yeah.
And so a hack for pastors is like, if you want people to feel loved, just make them feel seen.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing to grow in a relationship with people, to not preach at them, but just make them feel seen? And so I love that was really your heart in that season. I don't know if you realized this until we talked recently, but I have a book here called Launch Big. And there is an entire chapter. Let's see here. There's an entire chapter called Coffee with a Pastor. It is chapter 3, page 41 of Launch Big, called Coffee with a Pastor. And if it wasn't for you and I connecting, that would not be in this book. And there are probably hundreds of church planters that would not have had as much impact in their church plant. Because one day you called me or you called one of our team members and basically were like, hey, I love getting coffee with people. I don't know if it was like, our next interest party isn't for another 6 weeks. And so what can we do between now and then for the promos? Could we just like run an ad where I invite people to grab coffee?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how that happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, through that interest meeting phase, how Church Candy, the process works is once someone RSVPs to your event, they automatically get a text that's sent to them. And so one thing that Brady in those early days would advise us and encourage us to do is pull out your phone and send a selfie. That's my beautiful wife, Jessica. We would send a selfie video to them because it just helps. Like, hey, you're a real person. Even though that initial text is automated, be authentic. So we would do that. And we would try to set up coffee dates with them. And it worked. If I could get you to sit down face to face and talk with me, the percentage of you, joining a team, or even if you didn't say yes now, I built relationship with you. You're going to watch my content. You're going to circle back around at some point in time and build relationship, or you're going to tell somebody about us. So if I could get you sit down, the likelihood of success of relationship skyrockets. So the thought was just like, how do I just capitalize on that? Interest meetings are great, but even with the interest meetings, it's like maybe 15% of the people who are in the room will say yes to us. They don't know us. We're not Texans. We're not in this culture. Y'all, Waco's weird. I don't care Waco's weird. Waco's not Houston. It's not Dallas. It's not San Antonio. I love you, Waco, but you weird. And so we're outsiders to them. But if I can get you across from the table from me, there's a better odds of something happening here because I get to know you and I can hear your story. In an interest meeting, you're hearing my story, which is great. But it gets back to that. How do you feel noticed? How do you feel heard? I wanted to captivate on that. I remember still the video that we originally filmed, trying to figure out what does this look like. I can't even tell you where this idea came from. I would love to say that I created it, but I'm sure I stole it from like Mike Santiago or something like that. I have no idea. I just remember the feeling of how can I get in front of these people? How can I captivate their time? And how can we just add rocket fuel to this experience to make them feel seen, make them feel heard? It's something that we still do today. And it's a part of our process. It's not even, and I would say this, If it's something that you're going to do, you have to go all in on. It can't be something that your church tolerates. It can't be something that you tolerate. It has to basically be like, no, this is the ministry of your church. This is why I do what I do. I love preaching. I love formulating sermons. I love leading our ministry team. I love that. But coffee with the pastor almost has to be the thing. Like, this is my ministry. This is the heartbeat of our church.
Yeah. So you're a pastor. People don't know you. You don't know them. They see an ad on Instagram and on Facebook. My hesitation whenever you brought this to us, like, I honestly didn't think it was going to work, because I was like, Brandon, no one knows you. Why would these strangers want to go grab coffee with you? What was the sentiment that you saw in that regard?
Such a good question. One is with the ads that we were already doing, and I think it's just the formula that Church Candy does, because you're not just running ads. Like, the play that we were running is we wanted to have an ad that didn't invite you to anything, and we're still doing this today, where we have ads at the beginning of the month that we're not really inviting you to anything. It's more of like a reel, if that makes sense, but it's targeted wide range to let me just speak life into you. These ads were popping like crazy, because now there's people who are saying, every single time I see this bearded dude's face, he's bringing value into my life. There's no ask. There's no requirement me to like the post. There's no requirement for me to do anything. I just want someone to encourage me to speak life into me. On the back end of the month, the retargeting side, now here's the ask. Well, yeah, I do want to show up to this event, because this bro, every single time he's on, I get on my social media, he speaks life into me. Yeah, I want to go meet him. So they may not attend a large scale event, but this dude who keeps speaking life into me, he actually wants to meet coffee with me. There are so many people who are begging and who are dying to get close to a pastor because they're hurt and they're broken and they're desperate. I can't tell you how many people have left churches to go to another church because they don't feel seen and they don't feel heard. They love the messaging. They are leaving doctrines of other churches to go to another church, and they disagree with the doctrine, but they'll go there because a pastor will make his way to a front door to shake their hand and love on them. It's all about how we make people feel. So in my mind, again, it's like, if I can help make people feel seen, I know they'll buy into it, because we're seeing it on a small scale platform and testing it out. Even though, like, yeah, Brandon, I don't know that if you'll see any fruit from that. And we've seen tons of fruit from that. And again, it's an investment. It was something at the point in time, though. We have no launch team. We're parachuting in. It's almost like you have to get to the place of desperation. If it doesn't work, cool, but we can say we tried it. So you almost have to get to the place of desperation. Say, I'm willing to try anything for the sake of the gospel, to put the gospel in front of people. We're willing to send tons and tons of money to foreign aid that's proven not to go where it needs to go, but yet we're not willing to spend the money on the people in our backyard, the widows, the single moms, the crack addicts who are desperate just to talk to you. Say, hey. So it's almost spiritual therapy. I can't heal everything that's going on in your life, but I can buy you a Starbucks $4 coffee and talk to you to get to know your name.
Man, I think this is huge. And we did a podcast a couple months ago with a pastor, planted a church. They did the Coffee with a Pastor campaign, and like they just saw so much fruit from it. God like really moved from it. They had like 78 people added to their launch team. Like really just from that they ended up going to interest parties, but it all stemmed from, these were leads that came in from the Coffee with the Pastor. Well, that podcast comes out, and I send an email out to the Church Candy database saying, hey, like, here's this, in this podcast, we talk about an ad that this pastor ran. Had 78 people join their church in, whatever time frame. Well, I get a message from one of our account managers at Church Candy saying like, hey, I've had like 3 or 4 of our clients asking to run Coffee with the Pastor ads, which for context, traditionally, we've only ever ran that for new church plants that are in that phase of building that launch team. We've never, not that there's any, we just never thought about, oh, let's just run this for a church that's already meeting on Sundays.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Chris was like, hey, can we just get like a heads up before, because this is also too like prime Easter campaign build out season for us. So like for us, the month before Easter is like our busiest season, because every single one of our clients, they have some either special service times or just need different campaigns. So they're already slammed with that. And Chris is thinking that I'm promoting this new campaign for us to run. I was like, oh no, I was just telling people to go check out the podcast. It's a cool story. And that's whatever, because I'm always praying like, all right, Lord, give me like fresh revelation of like, what can we do with our churches for them to make a bigger impact?
Yeah.
And that was almost like an awakening moment, like Holy Spirit put in my heart, like, hey, this isn't just for church planters. This isn't just for church planters building their lunch team. There's no reason why a church that's already meeting on Sundays can't run this. And so that's one of the reasons why I was like, hey, we gotta have Brandon on. Like, you were the OG Coffee with the Pastor campaign that we ever ran. And so to hear your story is huge. And so for anyone listening, like we're having a big push, and we are a lot now. I will let Chris know, hey, heads up, we're telling pastors, like, let's run the Coffee with the Pastor ad, because this is like the best opportunity. I think this is the best time in our history to do that, because it's never been easier to click a button and get in front of so many people. And two, I know you and I might both come from like a charismatic background, and we will overuse the term revival.
Right.
And like everything, we have planned revivals. Like, hey, come to our revival Wednesday night at 7, right? And that's not what that term means, right? But if we look across our country, the Wall Street Journal reported that Bible sales are like at an all-time high.
Yeah.
That traditionally young men don't really want to go to church. Like normally young women outgo church interest more than men. But there was a report that came out, and Gallup did, that now young men are more likely to be religious and go to church than young women. And we even saw in this last election going back to more conservative values. And I think that all stems from people are hungry.
Yeah.
People are seeking something. And a lot of people might not be comfortable maybe going into a local church, or they feel like they're not worthy to go to church, but they would definitely meet with a pastor.
Yeah.
They would definitely meet with someone that's willing to be heard, because they feel like they can't meet with pastors. Some pastors feel inaccessible.
100%.
And so what have you guys seen with the type of people that whenever you guys were running this campaign, like what type of people were you seeing that were interested in grabbing coffee with you?
Hurt people. These are not church people. And that may just be the context of where we're at. That may not be everyone's context. But I mean, to piggyback off what you're saying, I think it's a tragedy that we have filled our calendar with stuff as pastors that don't matter. Like, I'm going to be a little passionate. Like, we have filled our calendars to become busy. And is it really ministry? Like, I understand there's things to manage. Like, I understand it's our job to create jobs for our staff. But how much of that can I push off on somebody? There has to be a refocusing. The most amazing stories and miracles that we read of Jesus was not in the synagogue. It was on the street, right? He's going to people's homes. And when he's going out into the highways and byways, right, to compel people, yes, to come into our churches, because that's how we've always seen it done. We grew up in church and we've seen it all done within the four walls. But the greatest miracles that Jesus ever performed was not in the synagogue. The demons talked to him in the synagogue. But the miraculous, the miracles were broken people outside of the synagogue. So as a pastor, am I willing to go to the broken people? Because the proof is we're more spiritual. There's a spiritual awakening. But statistically, they're still not coming. So what are we going to do with that? Will we go to them? Are we going to sit by and be frustrated because we're spending all this money and we have all these prayers that we're praying, but we still can't see the prayer that I'm praying? It's not turning over into the butts and the seats for the people to attend. Well, will we do something to change that? So for us, the type of people that I'm meeting with in coffee houses are people who are dealing with suicidal thoughts, people who have been molested, people who have been abused, sex trafficked. So they're having this shame, and they feel like if I go into the church, I'll feel this condemnation. Now, we know that's a lie, right? But there's been so much church hurt because they're trying to go to these churches and they're trying to talk to someone, but they can't find the person to talk to because, for whatever said reason, in our churchanese and our programming, these are the people that tend to get left out. So when we're meeting with these people with coffee, just by saying yes, just by being on time, just by getting to sit across for them. Again, I can't solve your problems. I don't know what it's like. Like I don't have, 5 hours a week to give you therapy. I don't have an hour a week to give you therapy, but that's not my goal.
Yeah.
By the end of these conversations with these people, it's either ending in tears, it's smiles because they're blown away. Like this is a conversation we met with a lady, suicidal. She kept repeating over and over again, I can't believe you actually just met with me. The great thing is she's not even attending our church, but we got her connected to another local church that was better suited for her. The story doesn't always have to be, oh, I got you connected to my church. You were not attending church. You were faithless. But now we got you into a church and now you're full of faith. That's the whole goal of what we're doing, right? We want you closer walking with Jesus. But the context of the people who are reaching out to you because you're making yourself available are people who are broken and they're seeking some type of pastoring. They're seeking some type of shepherd who's willing to step in the gap and be like, bro,
yeah,
I got you.
Yeah. So on that same vein, do you, off the top of your head, you might not have like hard numbers, but like what was if we want to use like business terms, what was the conversion rate from, okay, these people met with me to them, they did get involved and they did either whether they joined the launch team or ended up coming to Launch Sunday or doing that post-launch, getting them involved in your church?
Yeah, definitely don't have the numbers off the top of my head, especially for interest meeting phase as we were doing that cycle. But if I was to guess, I would say it'd be anywhere between like 65-70%, which is an insane statistic, which is why we wanted to keep running that play. How we've integrated it in today is less necessarily as an ad, which it probably should be more targeted as an ad. But now it's a campaign that we do from basically inside. So if you're already RSVPing to attend church, we basically take all that data and we're constantly marketing through an email campaign with Coffee with a Pastor. I would say that's probably around the same metrics of those people. BB is someone who I just met with just recently. She's a great story to tell. Someone who was hurt her whole life as someone growing up. Tragic story. Wanted to be in church, could never really fit in, get connected with church. A drug user. Had a precious, wonderful woman of an old country church who just spoke life into her, encouraging her. She found Jesus in a jail cell. So this individual who knows a little bit about Jesus, but never grew up in the church and always felt awkward in the church, seen, because she RSVP'd for a church service, never attended, but seen us constantly hounding her for like, hey, let's get coffee with you. Want to get coffee with you. She finally said, yeah, I want to get coffee with you. Talked to her awkwardly, y'all. Awkwardly for like 25 minutes. But at the end of it, she's like, I have to come to your church. I felt like I bombed this because I'm like, dude, we have nothing in common whatsoever. I don't know how to relate to you, but I just loved you. Bought your coffee. This girl's now on our serve team every single Sunday. Smiles, bright eyes, opening the door. And she is this individual who's just bloomed from an awkward conversation to one of our people who's a point person in our church. So these are real stories that happen for us all of the time. Again, even if you're not being, plugged in and connected to our team, we have so many success stories of these people plugged into other local churches. But for us, we have so many different team members who either you've joined our team, you're in the fold, you're attending every week, but we have so many of them. They are prime members on our serve team, and it's from the Coffee with a Pastor emails, the Coffee with a Pastor ad.
Yeah, man, I love that. My heart is, we're working with like 450 churches today, and almost all of them we're just promoting their Sunday service, which is good. Like we've seen great testimonies. I'm sure you have incredible testimonies of like, hey, this person saw an ad, came to Promise Co, and God did incredible things in their life. And so it's not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, but it's, what is it in Matthew, in the Great Commission, and Jesus says, go out into all the world and get as many people into the local church as possible. Like, no, that's not what he said. He says, go into the world and make disciples, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really easy for us to put all of our effort into filling the church pews and getting people in there. And yes, like we've seen great things from it. Like there's incredible testimonies from that. But I think this is a great opportunity to really have this like evangelism first approach.
It's your Samaria
marketing.
Yeah, it's right? Like Jesus went out of his way to go meet the woman at the well. Like as a pastor, get out of the pulpit, bro. Like even if it's, I would say a pastor like this is good for, like this is evangelism. We're called to be teachers and shepherds. This may not be your natural gifting, like with your spiritual gift. This may not be your natural gifting, but this is good for you to get around the broken. Like I love that you can, tell me the Greek and the Hebrew, and you can dissect that and just blow your congregation's mind. This is gonna sound so bad, but no one gives a flying poo, dude, if you won't get down with people and just love them. Like this, for pastors on a spiritual level, is so good for you to get down with people who are broken and hurting. But this, I think for a lot of churches, this is your Samaria. Will you go through it? We're going around things, trying to figure it out, the puzzle pieces. You're trying to take the triangle peg and you're trying to get it into the square one. Like, no, you have to go through this to be the effective pastor that God has called you to, especially for your team. If my pastor will do it, I can do it. And it doesn't have to just be the pastor alone. Having your whole team that's saying, hey guys, I'm asking you one day a month for 2 hours, 3 hours. We're going to put you on the calendar. If someone comes in, this is your day. You're going to meet with you. But the pastor has to set the tone. If the pastor will go through Samaria, your team will go through Samaria with you. Yeah. So that's the culture of your church. Our heartbeat beats for broken people. It's not a slogan we say. This is what we do as a church. It will change your city. This is the church that accepts broken people. Yeah. This isn't just the church of the clean people, where all the people driving the Teslas and people who are driving the higher end cars, where all the clean people go. This is where the college kids go. They're like, no, we are the church that goes and finds the broken people. We will go through Samaria. Let this be your Samaria moment for you to reach people. There's not just missionaries we send to Africa and to Haiti. No, we send these missionaries out to Starbucks and meet these people because we have a de-churched population who want to get in your church building. They're just waiting for the invite. Y'all, it's Easter season, and pastors, we say this all the time till we're blue in the face. Oh, more people will come to church on a church service if they were just asked. These people are waiting for you just to ask. Yeah. To invite them to a one-on-one with you, and they'll show up.
But that only works if there's that relationship equity that you talked about, right?
Yep.
And so this kind of flips the script. I did a podcast interview with one of the pastors from Elevation, Pastor LB, Larry Bride. And he talked about how, whenever they're first starting the church, one of his main jobs is every single person that walked through the doors, his job was to try to schedule a time for dinner or coffee or just like an in-person meeting outside of the church to have that personal connection, right? Well, what if we flip that script to where we're meeting with people and we're discipling them before they ever step foot into our church? You want to grow your church? Yeah. That is a great way, because we hear it all the time, because we'll post a video where our pastor's like, our church was 150 people. We started working with church candy, and now we're over 1,000. We have testimonies of that. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we want that. We want that. It's like, yeah, but did you know that pastor, every single person that plans a visit, he sends them a personal video. And did you know that pastor meets with probably about 50 people a month who are brand new that have never given $1 to his church before? Mm-hmm. And did you know that every single person that goes through and says, I want to come visit your church, they're having personal conversations with before they step foot through the doors of that church? Yeah. See, they want the fruit, but they're not willing to put in the work to mow in the garden and do all of that. And so I think this could be huge. And kind of what I was getting at earlier, we have 400 plus churches we're working with. I would love to see at least 100 of them, whether they're churches we're working with or brand new churches that aren't working with them, run this play. And this is me. Maybe this is God giving me visionary ideas right now. But we could even take the whole, if you've seen the He Gets Us commercials, where it's like, He gets us, and it's like, we could run ads that aren't even from the pastor's brand, but it's just like, hey, do you have questions about God? Do you want to get connected with a pastor? And it's branded as its own thing. And we don't have this yet. My team's going to get mad at me for even saying this, because this doesn't exist. This is just an idea. But then send it people. And then we have this network of churches and pastors across the country. It's like, hey, here's churches that are willing to go meet with you where you're at. And more than just a text and a phone call. So man, I love that you guys have done that. Talk about logistics. Cause okay, what if it's a single woman that reaches out, but I don't know, it might be uncomfortable.
You sure?
Going one-on-one with them.
Yeah. Did not do a great job at the beginning, like full transparency, because my wife works full time. We don't have a full complete staff, so most of our team's all volunteers. So trying to figure out logistically what that looks like in the beginning, we're like, we want to be open all the time to meet people, and that's just not possible. Like, as much as you want to always be available, you just can't. Learn through trial and error. So like for us, we never meet in a sketchy location. For us, I've said Starbucks so much because that is just such a great open area where we're at. We're right by Baylor in Waco. So we've chosen a Starbucks intentionally that's always crowded, that's always there. So your conversations can always be heard. There's no he said, she said, oh, the pastor said this. I'm in public. So there's a way for if someone accuses you, I'm in public. There's cameras in the Starbucks, man. So keeping yourself in public's way. For me, we basically have ours in the afternoon. So from 5 p.m. on. I understand that's probably not super ideal, but my wife goes with me, especially if it's a female. My wife is with me. If my wife can't go with me, then I'm not there. For me, it's just, I feel like every single time you turn on the TV, you're hearing some pastor who's caught up in some accusation, right? Keep yourself safe. So yes, I may want to meet with this person for coffee, but if I don't have, especially if it's another female, if I don't have another female present with me, y'all, I won't do it. Love you. Would love to meet with you, but your integrity is more important. And it's not just even for you, but it's setting up even for them. Hey, you're so valuable. I don't want to be alone with you so that anybody else even has the wrong idea of what's being said. So I'll take a female with me. If it's not my wife, it's another female individual on our leadership team. They'll go with us. That has been the smartest play. Again, you're holding integrity high. Their safety, that's important to me. My safety, that's important to me. And the culture that we're setting.
Yeah.
It's the unsaid things that speak the loudest volumes half the time. And people love that.
Yeah.
People honor that. They respect that. I've never had anyone be uncomfortable with that to date. And again, a lot of these women appreciate it because of the trauma that they've been through. And it's usually by the hand of a man.
Yeah.
So when you're walking in with Grace and I'm walking with another female, they're usually like, oh man, you have completely taken down all the guards they've put up because you've honored them and you've respected them enough that I'm not invading you or I'm not coming to you all by myself. And they are completely armed. But as soon as they see another female touch, they're completely disarmed.
No, that's so good too. And even on the tech side, there's a way to set it up to where before you show them a calendar with like, here's days and times, you could have it to where it's like a form or like a survey first. And you just get information, name, phone number, are you male or female? Is your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend coming? And then to where if it's just like a single female, the thank you screen is, thanks so much. We're so excited to meet with you. We'll be in touch with next steps to get something scheduled.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a male or a couple, then you could probably show them the calendar and actually have them take that next step. And then if they didn't schedule right then, you just manually reach out to them and try to get something scheduled. That way, like logistically, you're even being safer. So you're not having like, oh, Sally scheduled a meeting with me, I got to cancel. And that those conversations are always difficult because you want to make sure that they're not hurt by you saying like, oh, this pastor doesn't want to meet with me or whatever, just because, your wife's not able to make it or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So overall, I want to hear more, like, what are some specific testimonies that you can think of like, okay, this person, they got connected to our church, either ideally from like because back when you were doing the coffee with the pastor ads, and they got coffee with them, and now like God's done some really cool things in their life. Do you have like specific testimonies of that?
Yeah, BB is the one who I mentioned. Yeah. She would she's the fresh one on my mind. Just because of what she went through. So super de-churched individual, finding Jesus in a jail cell, seeing the ads, connecting, but not actually coming to the church, but it was through coffee with the pastor ad, being able to meet with her one-on-one. And I think what's so beautiful about her story is the fact that it wasn't just this instant connection. It's the individuals, because of the trauma, because of the hurt, because of the addictions. You're like, man, there's no way that I'm going to be able to have any type of success with this person, because you see all the obstacles. God, what can you really do with this mess? Well, fast forward to someone, just because you met with them, especially BB's story, to someone who said, this person met with me. I'm blown away that you would meet with me. Let the Holy Spirit do the work. Starts attending the church because she's like, I have to come. I have to come on a Sunday. Starts coming to church. Fast track, gets on our discipleship track. She's now serving, and she's now a pillar on one of our serve teams. And she's a success story of many in our church, like BB, who said, I want to do coffee with a pastor, and we were willing to meet with her and just sit with her. And I cannot even tell you, Brady, like, I don't remember what we said in that coffee meeting, but I remember what I was thinking. I remember what I was feeling. But what I didn't know, what BB was thinking. And she has shared with me she was like, I cannot believe this dude would meet with me, because she's tried to go to churches and she's felt like the outcast. She's attended multiple churches and no one would talk with her. She's like, but this pastor would meet with me. We don't remember what we were digesting or communicating, but we remember what we were feeling. And they're so different. I'm feeling like there's no way this girl's going to come to our church. There's no way that we can help her. She's thinking, I'm going to this church. I can't wait to get there. This is super cool. Getting to the church, jumps in on a serve team, serving today as a pillar. And now she's one of the faces who are greeting people as they're coming in every single Sunday morning. And our team is littered with these people, from our kids team to our hospitality team to our worship team, all from Coffee with a Pastor.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. I love hearing the individual stories like BB of people who, saw an ad on social media, took a next step, got connected with a church, and God made like a big difference in their life, man. So before we go, one thing I love doing at the end of these podcasts is I want to ask you some questions that we're going to clip and use for Promise Co's ads. So like for your church's ads. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, so this is just a lesson for everyone watching or listening. The best ads don't look like ads.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make some podcast clips to use as ads for your church. So I'm just gonna ask you some questions and we'll just off the cuff go with it. Good?
Good. Let's do it.
All right. So you're a pastor in Waco. Why are you meeting with people for coffee? Like people that don't even go to your church?
Yeah, because we want to know their name. Like, it's not about our story. It's about your story. God wants to do something great in your life. We just believe the secret success to that is we believe it's our story plus your story equals God's story. It's not always about our fame, and it's not about us being known. It's about you being known. How can we work with you? How can we help you walk with you? What is God doing in your life? What is your story? How can we get to know you? How can you get to know us? And how can we just walk with you for you to know your God-given gifts, to love you, to walk in your calling, and to walk in your purpose?
I love it, man. I love it. Promise Co Church in Waco, man. A lot of people are loving it. Tell me about it.
Oh my gosh. I hope a lot of people are loving about it. No, we're a brand new church in Waco. I've been here just for a few years. Loving people in the name of Jesus, loving our community in the name of Jesus. God is doing some really great things. It's through the people that you wouldn't expect that God would be doing and God would be moving in people's lives. It's very uncharacteristic, but one person at a time, one home at a time, one kid at a time, just loving people in the name of Jesus.
And where and when do you guys meet?
We meet at the Jubilee Theater Sundays at 10 a.m.
Awesome. Sweet. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Church Candy Podcast. Man, I know that there's going to be church planters and pastors out there that might want to pick your brain or, what's the best way for them to touch base with you if so?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram. You can hit me up on Facebook. We can put my email, bholmes492@yahoo.com. Would love to talk with anybody, have any questions. Love to love on you. Love to connect.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Cool, man.